Are you a seafood lover? If you are, then you need to try this seafood okra soup recipe. First, you want to dice some onion. You need to give that some very tiny chop. So you chop that into tiny bits. We're going to be using it for our soup. Then, next, we're going to wash our uziza leaf and chop it into tiny bits just like I'm doing in this video. So this uziza leaf is very hot, so it's not too hot, but it's actually very nice. It gives the soup a very lovely flavor. After which we're going to wash our okra and then grate it with this grater. We're going to grate it to achieve that tiny shapes. After which we're also going to cut some of the okra using a knife just to achieve that round look. Next, we're just going to wash our mackerel fish and then chop this into the required numbers you prefer to use. So you're just going to chop it into the numbers you would like. Into your pot, you want to add in the mackerel fish and some stockfish. Then you add in your salt and onion as well as your Maggi. Then you add in your pepper. So you add in a little pepper if you're someone that loves pepper. Then you add a little water and allow that to cook for 5 minutes. After which you take it out and into a clean pan, you add in some palm oil. You heat up the palm oil, then you go into the palm oil with some chopped onion. You need to allow the onion and the oil to fry for at least 2 minutes. Then you give it a thorough stir. You need to stir the onion and the oil together. Then you go into it with your pepper mix. So this is blended Scotch bonnet pepper. You mix it into the oil and the onion and you stir it properly. Then you cover that to fry. After which you're going to go in with some crayfish powder. Then you go in with some nut cube and then you go in with your salt. Then you stir this, just to combine. You have to stir this mixture in properly. Once you're certain that it's properly fried, then you're just going to come into the sauce with our chopped okra. Remember the okra we chopped earlier? You're just going to add it in now. You add it in, then you combine it. You stir it to combine. So you're just going to give that a very perfect stir, just like I'm doing in this video. You stir it properly just to ensure that everything combines. Once our okra looks like this, then you add in your water. So this is warm water. Then you're just going to stir the warm water into the okra. Once you're certain that you've gotten the level of thickness you want, then you go into the okra with a fish broth. So that is the fish broth with stockfish. Then here add in your crab and then you add in your shrimp. So these are the seafood. You incorporate all the seafood and then you stir it properly just to ensure that it combines. Then you have to cover it up to cook for up to 3 minutes. Once you're certain that the seafood has cooked with our okra, then you're just going to go in with the onion, the one that we chopped, not the one we grated. So this is the one we chopped with a knife. You're just going to add it into the okra and then you mix it properly. You mix this, just to combine with all the ingredient that is in our pot. Then you're just going to go into the pan now with our fish. Remember the fish that we cooked earlier? You're just going to add it here. You're adding the fish almost at the last phase of the soup, because you don't want the fish, to just, to get scattered in the soup. Then lastly, we're going to add in our uziza leaf. Remember the leaf we chopped? We're just going to add it. And guys, our soup is ready. Can you see how that soup is looking? It's looking really yummy. So at this point, all you need to do is to decide which swallow you're going to be using to pair this soup. So if you want to use semo, you want to use fufu, you want to use eba. So whichever one you've decided to pair the soup with, it's fine. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.